You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account. From Apple to VIX and everything in between, if it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report. And now, get ready to scan the tape for the most explosive options activity on the street. It's time for the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means it is time for your Hot Options Report for Thursday, August 14th. Hope you're having a great trading week out there. A lot of ups and downs to sink your teeth into. Inflation giveth and inflation taketh away this week in the markets. Now, if you're listening to this show, chances are that you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees, whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades. Every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Again, the Hot Options Report brought to you by Public. Full disclosures in the podcast description. All right, let's get down to business with the Hot Options Report. What is lighting it up? Let's start in the land of vol, as we like to do on the show, listeners. Was it a hot day, a spicy day out there in VIX land? And the answer is, it was okay. 613,000 contracts on the tape in VIX land. That's a little bit shy, about 120,000 contracts shy of our ADV, which is continuing to grow a little bit, which is unusual for this time of year, getting up to 733. But we saw a 1 million contract day earlier this week, so not exactly surprising. The hot option in VIX land today, almost 41,000 of the September 23 calls, going up for an average price of around $1.05. So interesting stuff. SEP 23s for $1.05, you a buyer or a seller, listeners. VIX going out. It flirted with north of the 15 handle for a while today before going out sub 15 handle right around the 1480 mark out there for VIX cash. So interesting stuff. Seen a lot of upside floating around out there of late. Is that the right play? We'll find out as we keep on rolling. Out to SPY, listeners. Was it a hot day? Was it a spicy day out there in SPY land? And the answer is it was decent, pretty close to its ADV, not quite getting there, right around 7.7 million contracts on the tape in SPY. That's below its ADV, which has continued to tick up to north of 8 million now, 8.1 million in SPY. The hot option in SPY land, 713,000 of these 645 calls expiring today, and SPY closing out there pretty much exactly at that 645 strike. 644.95 to be precise out there. So unfortunately, we've seen a lot of this action in the 0 days, a lot of pinning and closing very close to these strikes. So unfortunately, if you paid anything for those and you held them throughout the end of the session and the average price was close to 50 cents, then unfortunately, not a winner chicken dinner for you in SPY land today. As we keep on rolling out to the S, was it a hot day in the S? The answer was about what you'd expect. Even though that ADV has continued to grow lately, it's up to about 3.8 million. And they put up about 3.8 million today, about 3.85 million. So hitting and slightly exceeding that newly inflated ADV out there in SPX land today. What was the hot option in the SPX today? It was 150,000 of the 6470 calls. And doesn't look like we quite got there by the end of the day in the S, even though it got pretty darn close, listener. 64, 68 and a half is where the S went out. So within spitting distance of those 64.70s. Looks like they had an average price of around $3.10. So if you held those to the end of the day, maybe not exactly looking great for you, but if you sold them, hey, you got a bit of a smile on your face. As we keep on rolling out to small caps, one of the interesting developments this week out there has been the resurgence in volume in small caps. We've been talking about it all week. IWM just blowing away its ADV, which continues to grow. It's threatening 1.5 million contracts. That's up from about 1.3 million at the start of the week. And it blew through that again today. 2.2 million contracts on the tape in IWM today. What was the hot option out there in IWM, listeners? It was 136,000 of the September 217 puts. So once again, a little bit farther out downside, dominating the tape in small caps. Small caps are interesting. Some days they trade like the other indices and it's all 0 day all the time. Other days they like to go a little bit farther out, but they usually tend to focus on the downside. And that's pretty much what we're seeing right now. 217 got a bit of a ways to go to hit that. Small caps, IWM closing a little bit north of 228, right around 228 and a quarter, listeners. As we keep on rolling out to the Qs, another hot day in the NASDAQ as well. This is another one. The ADV has continued to grow every day this week. It's up to 4 million contracts a day right now, and the Qs pretty much coming in slightly north of that, 4.05 million contracts in the Qs today. So a hot, a spicy day in the Qs. The most active contract in the Qs today, 280,000 of the 581 calls, again, expiring today, listeners. The Qs going out a little bit shy of that today, 579.89. So unfortunately, if you paid anything for those, and looks like the average price on those was about 62 cents, then not exactly a winner chicken dinner. The downside of 0 day, of course, listeners, is you're going to zero at the end of the session if you're not in the money. But the flip side is you get another day. Get to live to fight another day. So there you go, listeners. Maybe Friday will be your huckleberry as we keep on rolling out to the land of single name options. Was it a hot day in single name equity options? The answer was yes. It was explosive, listener. This is the hottest day we've seen in terms of just sheer density of volume since we've started this show, certainly. It cost you 750,000 contracts to break into the top 10, 752 to be precise, listeners. That is a metric ton of paper, listeners. Usually we're seeing it lately 400, maybe 450 to break into the top 10. So fully 300,000 contracts more than that. That is a lot of paper. That gets you to our old pal Palantir. Closing today, 181 exactly. And what was the hot option out there in Palantir? Looks like we're going to the dark side today. It was 58,000 of the 180 puts. So about $1 exactly out of the money puts. Listeners, can we get there by tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. Average price of $1.32. So it needs to drop a little bit to make those puts pay off. But then again, we've seen Palantir can move a couple of bucks in a heartbeat. So we'll keep an eye on those puts as we keep on rolling into Friday. By the way, just about every option in our top 10, yet again, I'm just scrolling through to make sure. Yes, all of them going the way of the dodo tomorrow. So it's all weeklies. That's where the action is in our hot option report yet again today, listeners. And coming at number 9, this is the name that's been lighting up the volume charts all week on the back of some disappointing, I think the CEO even called them disappointing earnings. It's CoreWeave. Closing today, 99.5, putting up 845,000 contracts on the tape today, listeners. What was the hot option in CoreWeave? Once again, to the dark side we go, was the par puts, the 100 puts. So now 50 cent in the money puts, going up 43,000 times today for an average price of about $3.17. So needs to drop a little bit more to pay off that average price. But on the flip side, the momentum seems to be all to the downside. So those par put traders could be looking pretty good. If you sold them, you might be gritting your teeth into the close tomorrow. We'll see where CoreWeave goes out. As we go to number 8, yet another newcomer breaking into the top 10 today. Listener, this has been a wild time to kick off this brand new show. We don't normally see this much shakeup in the top 10. Usually it's our usual suspects. It's just a question of what order they fall in, but not these days, listeners. Just a lot of action, a lot of new names. You saw Open breaking in. Obviously, CoreWeave is back in there. A lot of hot names breaking into the top 10, which is always fun. always refreshing to see. So what's our newcomer today? It's a new name we've never even discussed on the network before. This is the Wolf. No, not Wolf Speed, ticker WOLF. This is TeraWolf, ticker symbol WULF. Just having a wild day out there. Google taking a piece of them, and that usually means some stock action, and that is indeed the case. Closing right around 870 out there in the Wolf, up about 3.25 and nearly 60%. Just a wild day for the Wolf. 847,000 contracts, managing to sneak just past CoreWeave by 2,000 contracts. And what was the hot option in the Wolf today? 47, almost 48,000 of the 8 calls. Interesting. These have an average price of only 36 cents, but they went out obviously worth 71 cents. So looks like a pretty good trade for all the folks who were loading up on the 8s. And if you sold them, well, you got one more day to go. Maybe you grit your teeth and maybe we drop back below that 8 strike. But either way, the Wolf exploding into the top 10 today. Welcome to the Hot Options Report to the TeraWolf, folks, as we keep on rolling out to number 7. This one was just a newcomer just a few weeks ago. Now it seems like a stalwart on our top 10. It's Open. 1.17 million contracts. Open having a nice run today as well, getting some resurgence back. We were talking about languishing around the 2.5 strike for a while on this name, closing a couple of cents north of $3 today. And the hot option in Open is back to the 3s, 176,000 of the 3 calls. It's been 2.5 calls forever. Now it's 3 calls again. Average price of 14 cents. So, of course, do the math. If you bought those, have to close north of 314 to make those pay off. Can Open do it? Well, if it can pull another move like it did today, then it could certainly get there. But interesting stuff. Is Open back? There's just another little bounce out here. I guess we'll keep an eye on it as we keep on rolling into tomorrow's Hot Options Report, but a lot more to go through before we get there. Number 6, AMD. They've been riding this chip wave along with NVIDIA. The largesse of NVIDIA's trip to DC recently. AMD closing a little bit shy of 181 today, putting up 1.18 million contracts, just managing to beat out Open for the number 6 spot. What was the hot option in AMD today? 144, almost 145,000 of the 185 calls, average price of around $1.32. So these are all opening as well. So new paper on the 185s. Got a bit of a ways to go to get there. Again, closing a little bit shy of 181. So obviously it needs to run to that strike. And then if your average price is $1.32, needs to run $1.32 beyond that, listeners, for break even. So interesting stuff out there in AMD. Can we get there? Seems like a pretty big move, but we'll see with tomorrow's Hot Options Report as we keep on rolling to number 5. Intel certainly seems like their trip to Washington paying off for them. 23.86 is where Intel is trading now, up about, looks like $3 or so on the week right now. Just having an absolute wild week out there for my old stomping grounds in Intel. Let's see. Yeah, it's up about $1.60 just today. And if we go all the way back to the beginning of the week, up, yeah, about 380, exactly up. So it was about exactly $20 when we started this whole dance, and threatening 24 today. So a good week for Intel, 1.21 million contracts. And its upside are actually now in the money calls that are the hot option today in Intel. 82,000 of the 23 calls. Average price of only 40 cents. So these are looking pretty good. Going out right now, 86 cents. So looking pretty good for these bad boys out here. Can we maintain this level? Can Intel keep running? Stay tuned to tomorrow's Hot Options Report to find out as we keep on rolling to number 4. This has kind of been a theme in our top 10 for a while now. Go to Washington with a bag of money. Good things happen and the stock takes off. Apple, number 4, 1.23 million contracts on the tape for Apple today. The hot option out there in Apple, 126,000 of the 235 calls. Got a little ways to go to hit that one. Apple closing right around 232 3/4 today, but obviously a long way from the par strike, the 200 strike that it hung around, I should say, for the better part of this year. We were talking about selling the 200 puts in December in Apple back at the beginning of the year for $18. Obviously a good trade in hindsight now. Can we keep this momentum going in Apple? We'll tune into the Hot Option Report to find out tomorrow as we keep on rolling to the Amazonians. Number 3, closing a little bit shy of 231 today. A nice day for them. 1.54 million contracts on the tape. Forget all the other stuff we're talking about. Forget AI, forget the Fed, forget trips to DC. What was driving Amazon today? Just delivering perishable foods in your local market. They're expanding their same-day delivery to compete with Instacart and others out there. And the market liking what they're seeing out there today. Popping the stock, closing again a little bit shy of 231 out there today. Up nearly $7, 6 2/3, about 3% move. So haven't seen that big of a move in Amazon in a little bit. And the hot option out there in the Amazonians today, 208,000 of the 230 calls. Again, these went out worth nearly $1 today. Average price, though, $1.73. So needs to run a little bit more to pay that off. But a great day out there in the Amazonians as we keep on rolling to the number 2 spot. What's holding down the silver medal today in the options market? Yeah, it's Tesla. Nearly 2 million contracts, 1.97 million contracts on the tape for Tesla. Closing right around 335 and about a half, actually 335.58 to be precise out there. So giving back a little bit today, but obviously still well north of that 300 strike and even below that it was at not too long ago out there in Tesla land. What was the hot option out there in Tesla? 148,000 of the 340 calls. Average price of about $2.12 for those. So got a little ways to go to make those pay off. Can we hit that tomorrow? I guess we'll find out as we roll on into the number 1 spot. Yup, it's NVIDIA. 182, pretty much even is where it went out today. Putting up a little bit north of 2.4 million contracts out there for the number 1 spot. And the hot option, 255,000 of the 182 half calls. Again, these are slightly out of the money, about 50 cents, and they also went up for an average price of about $1.27. So NVIDIA needs to move a little bit if it wants to make those pay off. On the flip side, if you're short them, just grit your teeth and maybe we'll close here or below tomorrow and you'll be a happy camper. And that's going to do it for your hot options report for Thursday, August 14th. Join us back here tomorrow for our final hot options report for the week, as well as, of course, volatility views. And for all of our pro friends, a nice stop in Unusual Activity Town for options oddities. If you want to check out that show, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to get your hands on it. And we're back again with another great episode of the Hot Options Report. Till then, stay safe out there, everybody.
Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in podcast description.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.